Hi, junior seminar class. My name is Dr. Beth Sherman, and I'm going to be your professor for the class this semester. And because we are not actually meeting face-to-face for class until January 23rd because of starting classes on a Tuesday and then it being MLK Day on Monday, I wanted to provide a video introduction and give you some background information on the course in general, and then also the work that you're going to be doing even over the next couple of weeks so that you feel prepared when we come together face-to-face on the 23rd to start working on the projects for the class. So to get us started, this is the Canvas course page, and one of the things that you're going to want to do over the next couple of weeks is to orient yourself to the course, the syllabus, the tentative schedule, which I'll point out a couple of things about in just a minute. And then you can start to look into some of the projects, since you will see that the course is basically devoted to the one specific scholarship project proposal, which I'll talk more about in just a minute, and then a couple of other smaller program projects that we're going to be working on throughout the semester. So you can take some time to familiarize yourself with the way I've set it up. You'll notice that because you guys are working on some major projects for the course, instead of setting it up week by week, I have set up the pages by each project, so you can do some clicking into that. Also take some time to look through the course syllabus. I'm not going to go through and read all of this information to you, but I will mention that there's not a course textbook. You will use your style manuals from taking College Writing 2, whether that's AP or MLA, and you will cite in the format that is appropriate to the type of project that you're doing. So more to come on that when we meet, but you'll just need that style guide, and then the other text that you'll be reading will be your research for the project. So you don't need to worry about trying to get another textbook. You'll also see for the course requirements that the way that the points are broken down is just like I said about the major projects that you're going to be working on. The final scholarship project proposal, I should say, will be due by the end of the semester. Then you actually complete the project your senior year. More details to come on that in just a minute. But so a lot of the points are dedicated to that, the annotated bibliography, which is your research for that project. And then we'll also do a faith integration project you guys are going to be working on with a group, and then continuing to make progress on your program portfolio, which you guys started in the English 125 class. I know that was a long time ago. You maybe have not paid close attention to that or added anything to it in the last couple of years, and that's okay. We're going to pick that work back up in the junior seminar. Take some time to familiarize yourself with the rest of the course policies. I'll make sure to mention too that throughout the course, reach out with any questions or concerns. Always just communicate, if you do have something come up, or if you feel like you're falling behind, or if you just want a conference and need help, again, as you're kind of working on those big projects. Those of you who know me know that my door is always open. I'm more than happy to talk with you and help you. I'll reiterate that when we meet in person. But even in these next couple of weeks, if you're wanting to try to meet face-to-face to talk about some project ideas, I'm here and available. My office is up here on 4th floor, Burke. Also, just to point out that attendance is incredibly important to the course, and it's a one-day-a-week course. So if you do miss more than one class period, there is an overall grade reduction. So if something comes up and there's extenuating circumstances, obviously that's something that we can talk about, but you need to let me know right away. But because we don't meet that much, and because the class time is often devoted to the major projects for the course, it's really important that you are in class every week. So that's that, and you could take more time to look through that on your own. Regarding the course schedule is posted on the syllabus page. And then it's also linked here on the home page. Give this a minute to open. And this is primarily just here in this Word document. So however you keep track of things, whether you want to print this or you want to kind of keep this on your radar, That way you know what is expected each class. The due dates are there. The due dates are also within the assignment page. All the assignment descriptions and things are already available to you. But if you are wanting to kind of see, what everything looks like in detail from week to week, I would recommend that you download and have a copy of the schedule, so that tells you what we're going to be working on, as well as things such as a reminder to bring your topic idea. So overall, you'll notice about the schedule is consistent with what I was just saying about the major projects for the course. So you are going to see that right away, you guys are going to start doing some brainstorming for the final project, which I'll talk more about, excuse me, fighting a cold, in a little bit. So you're already going to start doing some brainstorming for that project this week. We're going to be doing some research for the project. You're going to bring in some ideas for what you think you may want to do for the project, and we're going to have a review. We're going to have some guest professors in the class, this class period as well, to give you guys feedback on those ideas, as well as some peer review. Working on the annotated bibliography, which is for that larger scholarship project proposal. And then we have a couple of class periods where you guys are going to be presenting on a text that you are choosing from a list. More to come on that with your classmates. And then we have some class periods in here for working on your portfolios for the program. And then also a couple different time periods when you guys are going to be setting up conferences with me so that we can talk about your projects and help you make good progress on that. So that's the schedule. Take a look at that, download that. You'll want to use that throughout the semester. So thinking about some of those projects, and I mentioned this a little bit. So for the faith integration assignment, the main thing I'd like for you to do before we meet on the 23rd is to spend some time looking over the options that you can choose for a text. Now, I'm going to ask you for your top preferences, and I'll try to accommodate that as much as possible. You'll be reading one of these texts and basically doing a book talk with a group to share the content of the text, but then also engage your classmates in a discussion of how our faith relates to our discipline and career and profession, both as students and then in the future when you guys graduate and you guys are working in your careers. And so before the 23rd, if you'll spend a little bit of time to look at the options, you're welcome to do some reviews of these texts, look through some summaries of these texts, so that you can give me your preferences, and then I will assign groups for that project, and then you guys are presenting those after spring break. In addition to that, as I mentioned, you guys are going to be working on the department portfolio, so there's already some good information here. Excuse me, like rubric and the handbook that gives you more information. So I'll talk more about this closer to the time, but as you're interested in kind of what that's going to look like for the second level, you have that information available to you already. So what I want to spend the most time talking about is the scholarship project proposal. And you will notice that most of the semester we are going to be focusing on working towards this project proposal. Now you'll notice that I keep using the language project proposal. And the reason is because you guys will actually complete your proposed scholarship project your senior year. So you guys will take either the English senior seminar course or the writing senior seminar course, or both if you're a double major. During that time, you will complete the project as you proposed it in the junior seminar course. But because this is a very robust project that you are going to be working over across multiple semesters, and the scope of the project is pretty extensive and it's intended to be like that, you will work this semester on building the foundation for that project. So I'll give you more details about that project in just a minute, but to know that by the time you get to the end of the project, you will have your proposal done, which will include having written an annotated bibliography. So that will give you time to think about what idea you want to do for your project, spend a lot of time researching it, getting feedback from me and other professors, getting feedback from your classmates, writing an annotated bibliography, so that when you get done with the junior seminar course, you'll be presenting this idea and getting more feedback from your classmates and other professors. so that you leave the class, you are ready to start working on your actual scholarship project, which you will complete during your senior seminar course or courses. So in thinking about these different projects, as I already mentioned, you have a lot of freedom in the kind of project that you choose to pursue. So you will see that there are sample project proposals here. There's also several samples for the annotated bibliography. And that's something I'll talk more about, kind of how to break down the different sections for the annotated bibliography when we get closer to the time. But I wanted you all to see the variety of projects that our students have pursued in the past. So with taking this class, you are either an English education, or writing major, or a combination of the three. And so you will do a project in your area of interest. If you're a double major, that means that you will be doing 2 different projects. So you will want to keep that in mind throughout this class, that if you are a writing and an English major, then you are doing all of the projects for both, so that you're ready to pursue both projects your senior year. If you are an English major, English majors have the choice. You guys can do a more literary focused project, or even as an English major, you can do a more writing intensive project. Those of you who are writing majors, you're most likely going to do a writing project. And then those of you who are English education, you have the choice to either do like a more typical English education project, or you could do a literary project, or you could do a writing project. So you don't have to do an education project just because you are an education major, because you are also an English major. So with these projects, as I mentioned, these are cross-semester projects, projects that go above and beyond what you would just do for an individual class. So even when you guys do your long papers, when you take your English and literature courses, those papers are usually like 10 to 12 or so pages. And they also tend to focus around like a specific text and or a specific theory. With these projects in general, your final project should have somewhere around 15 to 20 sources, and you're going to get a good start on that this semester with the annotated bibliography. And the final project, if you're doing a literature project, should be more like 15 to 18 pages and have, final 15 to 18 sources cited in that paper. In addition to that, you are going to focus on more than just one piece of literature. And so that may be something looking at multiple novels, that may be looking at multiple authors, that may be looking at a specific text, but from multiple theoretical frameworks, maybe multiple texts from a specific author. But these projects span more than just the focus of the work that you would do for one specific class. So you'll probably want to spend some time looking at some of the other projects the students have done in the past, so you can get an idea of, like, for example, the focus on mental illness in Jane Eyre, and then also in Wuthering Heights. So looking at this idea of mental illness, but this is within 2 different novels. But you guys have a lot of freedom with what you want to do for the project. So in thinking about how to come up with ideas for the project, think about time periods that you're particularly interested in, authors you're particularly interested in, genres you're particularly interested in. What has most kind of captivated, intrigued, made you curious as you've been taking other courses throughout the program? Where are you finding that you are most interested in learning more about? What theories have resonated with you? I think that's a good place to start. What texts and what theories have resonated with you? Beyond that, you can also think about your future interest, career, and education goals. So if you know that you want to go on and maybe do graduate work in literature, and you're particularly interested in medieval literature, you may want to do a project on something under the umbrella of medieval literature. If you know you want to go on and you want to write young adult novels, then maybe you want to do a project where you are writing a young adult novel, which is more of a writing project. But think about your future career goals, education goals, and then the interest that you've had throughout the program and thinking about a project. For those of you who are wanting to do more of a writing project, again, you have a lot of freedom. So we have things, we've had students who have projects in the past that have been more creative projects, ones that have been more professional projects like we had a student who was a double major in theater. And so you'll see there that she did a project where she did a modern adaptation of Geetha Sowerby's Rutherford and Son. And because she was a theater major also, she was actually able to produce her play the spring semester of her senior year. And so she rewrote the adaptation as a part of her senior writing capstone project. And then as a part of her theater major, she was able to actually put on the play, which was a really neat project. So you have a lot of freedom. So think about what kinds of writing you like to do, what kinds of genres you like to write. We've had students who have done poetry collections. We've had students who have written novels. We have students who have written novellas. We had another student who was a communication major who did kind of a multimodal project where she did some interviewing of people, and then she also created a video component that went along with the written portion. So again, think about what you're most interested in. What are pieces of text or writing that you've always been interested in pursuing? We've had students who have done memoir-ish kinds of writing. So we had a student who was a pastor's kid who did a portrayal of, what her life was like growing up as a pastor's kid. So think about, again, what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? What are things that you've maybe always wanted to write and you've never had a chance to do so that expands above and beyond what you would do for kind of a simple class project? Those of you who are in education, you could do more of a typical education project. So that may involve exploring a topic where you're going to go out and interview teachers. Maybe you would do a case study in an actual classroom. You have the freedom to create a long unit plan if that's something you're interested in. We had a student last semester who has an ESL endorsement, so she created a lot of curriculum materials for ESL students, and so you could do something like that. But same thing, as an education major, what are you primarily interested in? What kinds of students? What kind of content? What are things that you're still curious about that you haven't had a lot of coursework or experience or knowledge about that you would want to pursue for this project? So I know that's a lot of information and a lot of things to think about, which is why we're going to get thinking this week, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But just to give you guys an idea of what the kinds of projects that you can pursue will also help you along the way. So like I said, you're going to come up with a couple. We're going to do some brainstorming, come up with some initial ideas, get feedback from professors, students, from me, so that we can start with kind of these bigger ideas and then whittle those down into something that is really doable and specific. So I'll work with you on that throughout the semester, but here's ideas to get you thinking. And also there are some examples of annotated bibliography, so that can kind of give you guys more details about that, and we'll talk more about that when we are together in person. So last thing, I know this is a long video. So the work that you're going to be doing over the next 2 weeks. So for this week, I've posed some prompts that I'd like you guys to spend some time responding to. And these questions should help generate some initial ideas for the project. You are not committing to anything by, listing something here, but it will give you an opportunity to kind of reflect on what has resonated with you throughout the program right now so far, to give you some ideas about what you may want to do for that final scholarship project. So you will be working on that this week. Next week, then, I will send out another email and remind you of this, but you can start to do some preliminary research into these ideas that you've been thinking about. You guys have a good preliminary knowledge background on how to research. You've taken college writing too. We will be meeting with Pam Greenlee in the library, not the 23rd, but the following week. So she'll be able to help get into more discipline-specific, content-specific resources. But you'll be able to do some initial research on your topic ideas. And then I will be looking at these and responding to these after you've had them completed and give you guys some feedback on those initial ideas. So thanks for listening and being attentive. I know that this is a long video, but since we weren't able to meet face-to-face this week, it gives you some of that background information to get started. As always, reach out if you do have any questions or concerns. As I mentioned, I'm on 4th floor Burke in 419. And especially for those of you who haven't had a chance to work with, since I primarily work with English education majors, since that's my background, I'm looking forward to working with you guys this semester and getting to know you and your interests and your project ideas and helping that all come to fruition this semester. Thanks.